What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know I've been gone for a little bit, but we're back here with the top 10 1960s best horror films, and have here some of my favorite beer, Paulaner from Munich, Germany. It's really good. It's one of my favorites. So, I know I've been gone for a little bit. Occupational hazard. I know, I get it. I take a little bit of time off for work, but whatever. We're back now. That's all that matters. So, we left off on numbers 5 through 1, and we're going to get right into it. Okay, so number 5. This film was actually a very good underrated horror film for being in the 1960s. It starred Christopher Lee, who back then in the 50s, 60s, and 70s just redefined horror, and Dracula and all the movies that he did were just absolutely phenomenal. And this movie actually picks up pretty quick after the plane lands and him and his partner go into this house, and from there it just picks up. It's a great fast-paced film. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was very well written. Cinematography was outstanding. The lighting was great. I love this film. So coming in at number 5, starring Christopher Lee, The Devil Rides Out. Enjoy.
Rex, do you believe in evil? As an idea. Do you believe in the power of darkness? As a superstition. Now there you are wrong. The power of darkness is more than just a superstition. It is a living force which can be tapped at any given moment of the night.
Why, on one night of 1 year, should these people live in mortal fear?
Of Mendes, the devil himself.
Christopher Lee as de Richelieu, who knows he must fight the devil's power to the death.
My God. Don't look at the eyes, Rex!
Eyes, once filled with love, are consumed with fear. For Tanith is now promised to the devil.
Listen carefully to what I say.
This is MacArthur, the devil's chief disciple.
Your will is leaving you, slipping away.
The Devil's Bride, from bestseller author Dennis Wheatley's The Devil Rides Out, fills the screen with a special kind of visual terror.
On your feet quickly! Back to back, join hands!
You will hear his evil. You will feel his evil. You will see his evil.
If we once catch sight of his face.
Okay, so number 4. This movie started it all. In 1968, one man had a vision, and this vision came to life that year, and that movie started it all. Started everything that we talk about till this day. Unfortunately, he did pass away recently, but his memories, his dream lives on, and these movies have just been coming out in the mass numbers. And this movie coming out in 1968, it had a different scenario and a different situation than how we see these horror films nowadays. And with how the villain was back then, like they could arm themselves, they were much smarter, even though they were slower, they were still harder to get away from. And this film, not only were the characters were a little bit, they were kind of, dumb, but I mean, I'd say only a couple of them were, not all of them, I'll give them that. But I mean, this film was, to me, it was very, very well written, especially by his age and by how he depicted himself with producing this kind of a horror film. So coming in at number 4, George A. Romero's 1968 Night of the Living Dead.
Killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Probably be a lot more of them as soon as they find out about us. All persons who die during this crisis, from whatever cause, will come back to life to seek human victims.
I'm telling you, they can't get in here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Okay, number 3. This movie was, like, let's say, redefining the way we see man versus nature when it comes to horror films. Even though it was a little bit older, 1963, it can still scare some of the viewers till this day. Alfred Hitchcock was a really, really great movie director. He created some brilliant ideas. And we even watch these till this day, and it still scares some of the viewers. And this film starred Tippi Hedren, and she was beautiful in this movie. I love her character, I love her personality, and this film was, I wouldn't say it would redefine horror, but it definitely redefined that image of, like I said, man versus nature, and how the people of that town that she was at, it didn't really, they didn't really put up much of a fight against what they were going up against. But even though there wasn't much of a fight, it was still a pretty good movie, and definitely earned one of the top 5 for the 1960s. So, coming in at number 3, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
The bird attacks have subsided for the time being. Bodega Bay seems to be the center, though there are reports of minor attacks on Sebastopol and a few on Santa Rosa. Most of the townspeople have managed to get out, but there are still some isolated pockets of people.
Birds are not aggressive creatures, miss.
I wonder if you could help me.
They bring beauty into the world.
I said I wonder if you could help me.
It is mankind, rather.
Yes, what is it you're looking for, sir?
Lovebirds.
Lovebirds, sir?
Who insists upon making it difficult for life to exist upon this planet.
What were the crows after at the school?
What do you think they were after?
I think they were after the children.
For what purpose?
To kill them.
Someone there? Who is it? Look.
No, it seemed to swoop down at you deliberately.
These birds attacked.
Show me your faces! Show me your eyes!
Why are they doing this? They said when you got here the whole thing started. What? What are you? Where did you come from? I think you're the cause of all this. I think you're evil! Evil!
Alright. Welcome back. Number 2. This film, for the number 2 slot, was probably projected to be one of the greatest horror films of all cinema history. It came out early in the decade, in 1960, and of course was another one of Hitchcock's brilliantly like mastered films, and one of my personal favorites as well. Just not enough to get the number 1 spot. And this film had excellent acting. It had excellent the situation that she was in, and what she did, and the music was, the music just redefined how we see horror films and everything. And I personally love this film, and just may not be enough to take number 1, but it's still pretty high up there for the whole 1960s. And coming in at number 2, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
You have a vacancy?
Oh, we have 12 vacancies. 12 cabins, 12 vacancies. If you want anything, just tap on the wall. I'll be in the office.
Thank you, Mr. Bates.
Norman Bates. My mother, she isn't quite herself today.
Okay, now, number 1. This film was, my personal opinion, it was underrated for how much work and how much talent this movie actually has. And if you actually look more into this film, if you look at the cinematography, when you look at the lighting, the acting, the writing, this movie, to me, is the one that deserves the number 1 spot. Because if you look further into it, if you look at more like the cinematography of the apartments versus how Psycho was or how the birds were, it kind of recreates, and you have that re-imaging of how horror films really were, and with how the acting was, with the situation that she was in and how she reacted to the situation with her child. You can probably see why this movie took the number 1 spot. And Roman Polanski had a really good vision with this film, and to me that's why it deserves to be number 1. So, coming in at the 1960s top horror films number 1 spot, Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby.
Hey, let's make love.
Paramount Pictures presents Mia Farrow in a William Castle production, Rosemary's Baby. Co-starring John Cassavetes, Ruth Gordon, Sidney Blackmer, Morris Evans, and Ralph Bellamy. Written for the screen and directed by Roman Polanski. From the best-selling novel by Ira Levin. Suggested for mature audiences.
And so there you have it. The top 10 1960 horror films, numbers 5 through 1. And of course you can check out numbers 6 through 10 on the previous video that I just made. And I'll be coming out with the other decades later on here soon for all those other projects that I keep promising you guys. I promise they won't take as long. I know that I've been away for a little bit, but I'm home now for a little bit longer. So if you guys like my videos, if you guys enjoy watching them, hit like and subscribe, of course. And if you do have any recommendations for any reviews or any other top 10s, let me know, of course, in the comments below or even in the discussion boards. I do check those every once in a while. So you guys have fun, keep watching the horror films, and stay scared. We'll see you later.